Okay, let's begin with the recitation of the formula. So, avidya
paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnana, vijnana paccaya nama rupan, nama rupa paccaya salayatana, salayatana paccaya paso, pasa paccaya vedana, vedana paccaya tanha, tanha paccaya upadana, upadana paccaya bhavo, bhava paccaya jati, jati paccaya jnana, sukha paridewa dukkha domanassa upadaya sambhavanti, evam devasa kevalassa dukkha khandassa samudayo hoti.
I hope we have finished two links in this teaching of dependent origination. And as I said, the second link between sankhara and vijnana is the most difficult. So today we will go to the next link, which is vijnana paccaya nama rupam. Is because there is consciousness as condition, nama rupa arises. Now I will explain to you later about nama rupa. So this means because there is consciousness as a condition, there arise nama rupa. Because of vijnana or consciousness, there arise nama rupa. So here in this link, vijnana is the conditioning factor and nama rupa is the conditioned factor. You might expect that vijnana in the second link and vijnana here are the same, but they are not. They are different here. In the second link, vijnana means just the resultant consciousness. But here, in this link, vijnana means both resultant and non-resultant consciousness. So, vijnana is wider in this link than in the previous link. Vijnana here means first, resultant consciousness. And second, karma formation consciousness. And third, all consciousness. So we have to understand vijnana in three groups. What is the first? The first, resultant consciousness. Second, karma formation consciousness. And the third, just all consciousness. Right. And then what about nama rupa? Now, what is nama? Nama means mind, right? So, normally nama means what? Consciousness, citta, mental factors, cetasika, and also nibbana. Nibbana is also called nama. But this dependent origination is about the round of rebirth and not outside it. So we don't need to consider nibbana here. So we leave out nibbana. So what remains? Consciousness and mental factors, or citta and cetasika. But citta has been taken by vijnana. Vijnana means consciousness, which is Citta, right? So, Citta cannot be its own condition. It may be absurd to say Citta is a condition of the same particular Citta. So we leave Citta out of Nama here. So here, in the phrase Nama Rupa, by Nama we mean only the mental factors, only the Cetasikas, feeling, perception, and other 50 Cetasikas. Means ordinarily all Rupa. There are 28 material properties. The 4 are called primary, and the 24 are called dependent ones. And in this third link, the mode of relationship is different from that in the second link. So in the second link, the relationship is producer and the product. The sankharas are producer and vijnana is a product. Sankharas cause vijnana to arise. So vijnana is the result of sankharas. But here, the relationship is not between producer and produced, but here relationship is between those arising together. Vijnana and Namarupa will arise together, and according to this link, Vijnana is a condition for Namarupa. A condition for means just support for Namarupa. They will arise together, but Vijnana is said to be the condition for Nama and Rupa. Only in one case can we say the relationship is between producer and product, and that producer and product is not exactly like the sankhara and vijnana, but in another way. And since vijnana represents resultant consciousness and non-resultant consciousness, we have to understand this link both at the moment of conception, both at the moment of relinking, as well as in later life. So there we will have to study in two places. One at the moment of relinking, at the moment of conception, and the other in the later life. Now there are different kinds of birth. Birth like that of human beings, birth that like of celestial beings, and that is called spontaneous rebirth. They don't have to be in a mother's womb for a long time. They just arise there spontaneously. So that is called spontaneous rebirth. And then rebirth like that of insects or some like mosquitoes or something from the moisture. And also birth like that of egg-born birds and maybe fish also. Yeah. So there are 4 kinds of birth, but we will confine our explanation to only for human beings, because if we want to understand all 4, it will become confused. So we will just confine ourselves to only one kind of birth, that is human birth. And by birth we mean the conception, not when the child comes out of the mother. So at the moment of conception for human beings, what happens or what arises? Now it is said that at the moment of conception for human beings, first there is the vijnana or consciousness, the resultant consciousness. And this is the result of sankhara in the past. So along with this vijnana, consciousness, there are a number of mental factors, cetasikas. The dots are not the exact number. So there are a number of mental factors. And along with these, there are 30 kinds of material properties. Let us call them just rupa. Now, so there are 30 kinds of rupa in 3 groups of 10 each. So in one circle, say there are 10 kinds of rupa. So altogether 30 kinds of rupa. Not 30 pieces of rupa. 30 kinds of rupa. So that is what happens when there is conception as a human being. Jnana here, and the cetasikas. What are cetasikas? According to this link. Rupa or nama?
Nama.
Nama. So this is vijnana, right? This is nama. And these are rupa. Rupa. Right? Vijnana paccaya nama rupa. Right. I'll explain it later. These 3 arise at the same moment. And these 3 are all results of past sankhara. And they arise together, but vijnana is said to be the condition, and the other 2 are said to be those that are conditioned. So they are related as conditioning and conditioned factor. So how they are related, in what mode they are related, you will understand when you apply patthana to it. But I will not do this today. It will be too complicated. But just understand that they are related. The cetasikas are related to vijnana, and the rupas are related to vijnana. Now, cetasikas and vijnana arise together, but one is called the conditioning and the other conditioned. Now, why? Because if Chaita doesn't arise, cetasikas cannot arise. Although they arise at the same time, Chaita is like a leader. Only when it is there can there be cetasikas. So it is said to be the conditioner of cetasika. And also these 30 rupas are related to the vijnana. They arise together, but they are said to be related. Among these 30, there is one rupa which is called heart base. Heart base is different from other 29 rupas here. It is said that heart base can have a relationship with Chaita reciprocally. Chaita is a condition for the heart base, and heart base is a condition for Chaita. But the others cannot have reciprocal relationship. So there is a difference between relationship between Chaita and the heart base here, and Chaita and the other 29 here. Right. If it is too complicated, it's okay. If you don't understand, it's okay. So there are 2 kinds of rupa here, the heart base and the other 29. So with heart base there can be reciprocal relationship, but with the others only one way. Now there are other kinds of beings. You have heard of those beings. Beings who have only rupa. They have no consciousness, no nama, but just rupa, like a statue. And beings, those have only nama, consciousness and mental factors, and no rupa, no physical body. So if it is mind only being, then what will be the picture? This is the Vijnana, this is nama, but no rupa, right? So in this case, Vijnana Paccaya nama, no rupa here, right? Here, Vijnana Paccaya nama rupa, right? A-M-O. Then rupa only being. Right?
Rupa only, no mind.
Right? You don't agree with this? Why? No mind. But we must apply this Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa to this also. So what kind of Vijnana will it be? Not this Vijnana, right? But in order to be reborn here, what must he do when he was a human being? He must practice jhana, right? He must practice up to the 5th jhana, and then he must practice some more, and then as a result of that special 5th jhana, he is reborn here, right? So the 5th jhana vijnana here is said to be the condition for this. So in this case, this vijnana cannot be vipaka, resultant vijnana, right? This is resultant vijnana. This is resultant vijnana. But this vijnana cannot be resultant. That is why it is called what? Karma formation consciousness. It is like karma because it is accompanied by karma. It is accompanied by cetana, right? So you take karma formation consciousness here and say Vijnana Paccaya what? Rupa, no nama, right? So Vijnana Paccaya Rupa. That is why we have to take karma formation consciousness as Vijnana also here. Okay. So in this connection, in this relation, Vijnana is more or less the same as Sankhara. When we say Sankhara, we mean volition. But when we say Vijnana, we mean consciousness accompanied by that volition. So it belongs to the past. That is why it cannot be the same as Vijnana in the second link. That is why it cannot be the resultant consciousness. So now when you say Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupam, I hope you will remember this diagram. So Vijnana Paccaya, what is this? Vijnana Paccaya what? Nama. Let's say Nama, right? Vijnana Paccaya Nama. Vijnana Paccaya Rupam. Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa. So you have to say in the formula Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa Nama Rupa, right? Yeah. To be complete, you have to say that. There is a way of deleting what we don't want, deleting the words, and the remaining words will represent the meaning of the words deleted. That is a way of expressing words in Pali. So it is possible to delete some words that are similar or that are identical. Now here, what we should say actually is Nama Rupa Nama Rupa. Nama Rupa Nama Rupa. But since they are same, the first Nama and the Rupa are deleted. Although the words are deleted, their meaning are embedded in the remaining words. That is why we have only Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa. But when we say the meaning of it, we should say, because of Vijnana, there is Nama, Rupa, and Namarupa. So, in the translation, not that one, the other one. You don't have this translation?
Yeah, we do.
Huh? Some have, some don't.
Handout 4.
Hmm?
Handout 4.
What?
Handout 4. Okay.
Yeah, handout.
Yeah.
So there say, because there is consciousness as condition, Nama, Rupa and Namarupa arise. No, not in that sheet. It's on another sheet. Maybe it is not handed out yet. Hmm?
Yeah, we have it.
You have it? Oh, yeah. Oh, good.
Number 3.
Yes, so when you read number 3, you see, because there is consciousness as condition, Nama, Rupa and Namarupa arise. Now you understand. Now let us study the relation in life, later in life. Later means just one moment after the rebirth or relinking consciousness. So immediately after the relinking consciousness, there is another type of consciousness. There arises another type of consciousness. Actually, this consciousness is repeated here. But here it is called relinking consciousness. But from this moment on, it is called life continuum, or the constituent of life. In Pali it is called bhavanga. So at this moment, these are still here. Not the identical these, but there are mental factors with it. And here, these three plus another group of metta. It's a little complicated, but I try to make it as simple as possible, but still it may be a little complicated. So, at the second moment, say, one moment after relinking, what is it called? Life continuum. So along with it there are Cetasikas, and then these three are still here at that moment, and there are another 3 arising. So there are 60 here, not 30 actually. And then there is one more group, and this group is Rupa, and this Rupa group is caused by this Ceta. Now this Rupa, this group is caused by Kama, right? And this group also by Kama, and so on. At every moment they are produced. But at the moment of we call it the first bhavanga, then another group of metta arises, and it is called metta, born of mind or born of consciousness. So we have the relationship, right? Vijnana paccaya nama rupam. So vijnana is a condition for mental states, mental factors, and also for the rupa, especially this rupa, which arises together with it, but it is caused by vijnana. So this is vipaka, resultant vijnana. But what when kusala or akusala consciousness arises? When kusala, wholesome consciousness, let us say just wholesome consciousness. When wholesome consciousness arises, there arise also what? Mental factors, and also rupa caused by that consciousness. So there also we get this relation, vijnana paccaya nama rupam. So vijnana paccaya nama rupam can be applied to relinking as well as to other moments in life. It can be applied to resultant consciousness as well as to other types of consciousness. That is why we have to take vijnana to mean here not only resultant consciousness but also karma formation consciousness and other types of consciousness. So when it is said to be that kusala consciousness is said to be related to citisikas only, it is vijnana paccaya nama. To rupas only, then vijnana paccaya rupa. To both, then vijnana paccaya nama rupa. So nama, the word nama rupa has to be explained in this way, meaning not one unit but 3 units. For you have met 2 kinds of rupas, those caused by karma and those caused by citta, those caused by consciousness. Now there are kind of rupa which is caused by temperature, and that rupa caused by temperature arises at the second sub-moment of this first consciousness. Now although we represent this with only one circle, actually there are three stages of this circle, right? So there are 3 sub-moments, arising, staying and disappearing. So these 3 stages. Now during the second stage, arises rupa caused by temperature. That means rupa caused by one of these rupas. Because these 3 are these 3 arise at the first sub moment, and they continue to exist until the third moment. Not only the third moment, they will continue to exist for 17 or 51 small thought moments. So when these three reach the second moment, second sub moment, they become strong at that moment. Just one moment and they become strong, and they are able to cause another rupa to arise, and that rupa is called something like that rupa is called born of temperature. Born of in Pali it is called utuja, so born of temperature. So another kind of rupa here. At this moment of relinking, I said 3 groups of 10 rupas arise. They are so small that they cannot be seen by naked eyes, very, very small. But Buddha said that there are at least 30 kinds of, not 30 pieces of, 30 kinds of rupas there. And these multiply at every moment, from this moment until almost up to death. So they multiply at every moment. And at the second sub-moment, they produce another kind of matter, and they also go on being produced as the time goes. So in this way, this group of matter develop little by little. So at first it may be just a very tiny little bit of drop of like a drop of water or something like that, a jelly or something, and then it grows, and then it becomes congealed, and then becomes solid, and so on and so on. It grows, and it became a fetus. So after becoming a fetus, we do not know exactly when it gets the nutrition from its mother. So mother eats something, and then the nutrition goes through the child. Now we know through the, what do you call this, umbilical cord, right? So through this cord, the child or the fetus gets nutrition from the mother. So when he gets nutrition from the mother, then another kind of matter is produced, and that is called, say, nutrition born, or just say food born. So somewhere during pregnancy, so another kind of matter is again produced. So now you have 4 kinds of matter, right? That caused by karma, that caused by citta, consciousness, that caused by temperature, and that caused by food or nutriment, right? So 4 kinds of. Now, these are caused by citta, but these 3 are not caused by citta, right? But still, they are in some way conditioned by citta. You know why? They can be those born of utu and born of food or nutriment can arise, and what is that? That there may be rupa born of utu remaining in the dead body, but nothing born of nutriment, nothing born of citta, nothing born of karma. So these rupas can exist only when the body is alive. Once a person dies, then the other rupas died out, and only the rupa born of temperature remains. When is a person called alive? When he has a consciousness, right? The moment he has no consciousness, the consciousness leaves his body, he is dead. So consciousness is said to be in some way a condition for all 4 kinds of matter to arise and to exist. So vijnana paccaya rupam, like that. Good. I don't know what to say. Okay, now let us say sankhara paccaya vijnana and vijnana paccaya nama rupa, and try to call to your memory this diagram, right? So sankhara paccaya vijnana, those things, right? Please say sankhara paccaya. No. Sankhara paccaya vijnana. Then vijnana paccaya nama. Here you don't see my pointing finger. So vijnana paccaya nama. Next one, vijnana paccaya rupa. Vijnana paccaya nama rupa. What about this? Vijnana paccaya rupa. Now you can say any way you like. Vijnana paccaya nama, vijnana paccaya rupa, vijnana paccaya nama rupa, and then you can explain that rupa means this, rupa means that, right? Very good. Okay, the commentary asks, how do you know? How do you know? Vijnana is a condition for nama and rupa. And the answer given is, first, the Buddha's words saying, there are dhammas that are followers of citta. That's an abhidhamma. And that means cetasikas and some kinds of rupa are called the followers of citta. So on the strength of that saying of the Buddha, we know that vijnana is a condition for nama and rupa. And that is one answer. The other is, how do you know that the relinking consciousness is related to nama and rupa here. That is because nobody can see this exact moment. Although you get the supernormal knowledge of seeing beings dying from one existence and being reborn in another, you really cannot see the exact moment of death and exact moment of rebirth. What you see, and what those people see, is just a little before the exact moment of death and a little after the moment of rebirth. Only the Buddha can see the exact moment. So we have no way of knowing that they are related. But the commentary said, if we cannot have a direct knowledge, we can have an inferential knowledge. So what is the inference? Now, you know that mind can be a condition for some material property, some rupa. When you are happy, your rupa is in one shape, and when you are unhappy, when you are sad, your rupa is another shape. So sometimes when you are depressed and for a long time, you will look old in a very short time, and then what we call gray hairs and so on. So we see for ourselves that mind is a condition for some material property. So from that we infer that because the mind and the material property there, and here also vijnana is the mind and the rupa is the material property. So from that what is seen, we infer what is not seen. So we infer that the relinking consciousness must also be a condition for the nama and rupa. So that way we know or we understand that they are related. And that is the answer given in the commentary. Okay. What next? Vijnana paccaya nama rupa, and for meditators. Now, a Vipassana meditator, can he see the relinking consciousness? No. Even with supernormal knowledge, it is very difficult to see, right? So, and also ordinary people means those who are not Buddhas, cannot see each one clearly, say one by one. What they can see may be a group of consciousness, not just one consciousness, but one whole thought process or something like that. So a yogi cannot see the relinking consciousness or other types of consciousness, and also he cannot see them because they are past. And you cannot practice Vipassana, the direct Vipassana on those that are past, right? So what a Vipassana yogi can see is just the present one. So you try to be mindful of the present consciousness. If you are really mindful of the present consciousness, and if you really see clearly the present consciousness, then the seeing of the relationship between consciousness and mental factors and others are said to be accomplished. When you really watch the consciousness, you are also aware, not at one and the same moment. You are also aware of the mental factors, like contact. See, the consciousness getting contact with the object, and then feeling involved there, and the perception, and maybe also attachment or confidence or whatever. So this also you see when you really see the consciousness. And also, that consciousness must also have a base for it to arise. So when you see consciousness, you are said to see also its base, which is rupa. And so, by seeing consciousness clearly through direct seeing, through Vipassana meditation, you see this link in the Paticcasamuppada, Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa. Now, is this link, say, Vijnana to Nama Rupa, a one-way link, or what do you call reciprocal link? What do you think? It is one-way link or both ways?
No, you already explained.
I already explained? Maybe yes. Huh?
Yeah.
I want to remind you, I think in the first talk, I told you about Bodhisattva contemplating on dependent origination. I don't know whether you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did he go about dependent origination? From the beginning to the end, or what?
From the end to
Right. From the end, backward, right?
Yeah.
So he went backward, and he reached what? Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa, right?
Right.
And then he further contemplated, right? What causes Nama Rupa? What causes Vijnana? Then he said, Nama Rupa causes mean conditions. Nama Rupa conditions Vijnana. And then he said, this Vijnana turns back. It doesn't go beyond Nama Rupa, right? So that is how the Bodhisattva contemplated on dependent origination. So there is reciprocal dependence. Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa, Nama Rupa Paccaya Vijnana, not like Nama Rupa Paccaya Salayatana here. That is also one link. But Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa can be understood both ways. So Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa, Nama Rupa Paccaya Vijnana. So you should understand this too. That is why the dependent origination is difficult. And links are not clear cut. So they are connected to another link, and so on. Now we say Nama Rupa, right? Then the six bases are included in Nama Rupa. Now we will see later that, maybe not today. So we have to understand not as we like it to be, right? We want it to be clear cut, watertight, and this not mixed, but we cannot get that way. So we have to understand that, and that is why Paticcasamuppada is not easy. So Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa, and also Nama Rupa Paccaya Vijnana, because Vijnana has to depend on some kind of base, right? So seeing consciousness has to depend on the eye. So here, Rupa Paccaya Vijnana, right? And when Vijnana arises with mental factors, they support each other. So Nama Paccaya Vijnana. So there is reciprocal dependence between Vijnana on the one hand and Nama and Rupa on the other. So we can say Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa and Nama Rupa Paccaya Vijnana. That is how bodhisattvas, not only bodhisattva of the Gautama Buddha, but bodhisattva of the former Buddhas also contemplated on the Paticcasamuppada that way. Okay, let us recapitulate this link. This link is not so difficult as the other link. So, Vijnana Paccaya, why I'm laughing? Vijnana Paccaya Nama Rupa. Okay. What is Vijnana here? Please answer. What is Vijnana here? What kind of cetas? Resultant ceta
and non-resultant.
And non-resultant ceta, or please specify the non-resultant ceta. Karma formation ceta and other cetas. Right. And what is nama here?
Cetasika.
Mental factors or cetasikas. And what is rupa? All 28 rupas or material qualities. Right. And with regard to, let's say, human beings. So with regard to human beings at, say, relinking, what would you say? Vijnana Paccaya, Namam or Rupam or Nama Rupam? Nama Rupam. Then at the relinking of mind-only beings, what would you say? Vijnana Paccaya, Nama. In the case of Rupa-only beings, Vijnana Paccaya, Rupa. But that Vijnana is different from these Vijnanas, right? So that Vijnana is actually something like Sankhara. But there is one difference. When we take Sankhara as the condition of, say, here, Vijnana, then the relationship is by karma relationship, patthana relationship. But when we take it as consciousness, karma formation consciousness, then the relationship is not by way of karma, but by way of decisive support. So that is the only difference. But if you don't know karma relation and decisive relationship, don't worry. But that is the only difference. So Vijnana Paccaya, sometimes Nama, sometimes Rupa, sometimes Nama Rupa. That is why we must understand Nama Rupa to mean not only Nama and Rupa, but Nama sometimes, Rupa sometimes, and Nama Rupa sometimes. And Vijnana be conditioned for Rupa born of Uttu and Rupa born of nutriment also? Can Vijnana be conditioned for those Rupas also? Yes. How?
Without.
Only when there is Vijnana can the body be alive. And only when body is alive can these material properties arise. Now, the Rupa born of Uttu. Now, in our life bodies, there are Rupa born of Uttu. And in a dead body also there are Rupa born of Uttu. But they are not the same, they are different. So here they are alive and there they are dead. So only when there is consciousness can the body be alive, and only when body is alive can these arise and say, exist together. So in that way we can say that Vijnana is a condition for all types of material properties, either born of karma or consciousness or temperature or nutriment. And is this link one way or both ways?
Both ways.
both ways. We have to understand it both ways. Why? On what grounds?
Buddha.
From the contemplation made by bodhisattvas on the dependent origination.
Và
Okay. Now, I want you to close your eyes and say first Vijnanapaccaya Nama, then Vijnanapaccaya Rupa, and then Vijnanapaccaya Nama Rupa, at the same time visualizing the diagram. So please say. But